And I said, your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're gonna do this?
It's wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight.
Go off of that, Floyd is the best fighter, in his era. And I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
Stephen A. Smith responded to Floyd Mayweather's challenge toward Terence Crawford by saying that the current boxing scene often downplays some fighters while overhyping others. He argued that Crawford deserves far more credit for his skills and achievements. Smith pointed out that Mayweather is past his prime and age plays a major role. So instead of drawing forced comparisons, the spotlight should be on Crawford's current dominance and what he's accomplishing right now.
Think about what he had to say about you when he said, you're way better than Floyd Money Mayweather. I know you heard that he said that. What thoughts came to your mind when you heard that Canelo Alvarez said that about you?
Hey, that's a big compliment. He's been in the ring with both of us, so he would know, from his own experience. A lot of people, they can say this, they can say that, but there's only, a few people that can say they've been in the ring with Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather and give their own.
Shane Mosley weighed in on the Crawford versus Mayweather debate, noting that Crawford holds a natural size and strength advantage that Mayweather never had at welterweight. He explained that Crawford's physicality gives him an edge in matchups, while Mayweather relied more on flawless technique and pinpoint accuracy. Mosley emphasized that Floyd's defensive brilliance and ring intelligence helped him beat bigger opponents, whereas Crawford doesn't face that same hurdle. In Mosley's view, Crawford's dominance comes from physical tools, while Mayweather's greatness was rooted in pure skill and adaptability.
Who do you think's better out of those two, Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually, he's moving weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because he's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. It's like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
In an interview with Ariel Helwani, Terence Crawford highlighted that Canelo Alvarez is uniquely qualified to compare him and Mayweather, having shared the ring with both. Crawford explained that their matchups came in completely different contexts. Mayweather fought a young and inexperienced Canelo, while Crawford faced him as a fully developed champion at 168 pounds. Despite the size gap, Crawford proved his strength by overcoming a much bigger opponent. He added that Canelo admitting he felt more power from him supports the idea that greatness exists in different eras and can't be measured the same way.
It was cooking right there because there was this thought, this prevailing thought that the smaller man always loses to the bigger man. This was repeated time and again throughout the fight week. And he proved that that's not the case. Again, I hope you all recognize this was a 168-pounder fighting a 147-pounder. He had one fight at 154 last August, was the undisputed king at 147, beating Errol Spence in July of 2023. Came back the following year, fought Israel Madrimov at the soccer stadium in Los Angeles, and then did everything he could to get this fight, played his cards the right way, and there he was, standing face to face against Canelo Alvarez, who did seem for the longest time like he didn't want to take this fight, and because there was great risk involved, because not only is Terence Crawford one of the all-time best fighters in the history of the sport, he's smaller than him, so a lot of people would be like, oh, of course you're going to beat the smaller guy, right? But I think Canelo recognized, yeah, he might be smaller, but he's that damn good.
Trainer Greg Hackett offered a different perspective emphasizing that Floyd Mayweather was a complete fighter when he faced Canelo. Hackett noted that Mayweather's style at that point was polished, disciplined, and unshakable, something Crawford's more aggressive and unpredictable approach doesn't fully replicate. He explained that while Crawford thrives on explosive counters and adaptability, Mayweather's brilliance came from flawless execution from start to finish. Though he respects Crawford's accomplishments, Hackett believes Mayweather's level of perfection against Canelo remains unmatched.
The Floyd Mayweather that Canelo Alvarez fought.
Yeah.
In the last version of Terence Crawford that we've seen in the ring.
Yeah.
Who's the better fighter, Jay?
Of course you got to give it to Floyd. Floyd at that time, Ben, what's up? Floyd at that time versus Canelo was in total confidence. His skill set, his IQ, you know what I'm saying? Everything he do, he was just a complete fighter that night. But I feel like was up against a lot because he was fighting a guy that we knew something about, but we ain't know too much about. People don't understand how much a fighter could be thrown off by what he don't know. And the reason it throws you off is because you're actually learning about the fighter while you're in there. That's what Bud went up against that night. That's why he didn't look so great. To me, I could be wrong, but he didn't look so great to me because he was learning a lot about Madrimov while he was in there with Madrimov.
Max Kellerman highlighted the contrast in how both fighters managed their careers. He explained that after Mayweather moved up from the lightweight division, he became highly selective, ensuring every matchup was carefully planned. Crawford, on the other hand, has taken a more fearless approach, often facing whoever was available without much hesitation. This, according to Kellerman, makes Crawford seem more daring and willing to take risks compared to Mayweather's strategic path. He added that this doesn't diminish Floyd's greatness, but it does underline Crawford's drive to test himself across multiple divisions and against tough opponents.
It's wild, because if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. That makes a difference to people.
Crawford has boldly expressed that if he ever faced a prime-era Floyd Mayweather, he believes he could win. He clarified that this confidence isn't rooted in disrespect, but in faith in his own abilities. While he greatly respects Mayweather's legendary skills, Crawford feels his own mix of versatility, power, and seamless stance switching could give him the edge. To him, this isn't about discrediting Floyd's legacy. It's about embracing the competitive mindset that fuels boxing greatness.
Who do you think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me.
No questions?
Why would you think that I would say Floyd? You know, that's one of my favorite fighters. But
Jeff Mayweather, who is Floyd's uncle, reminded everyone that Floyd was already past his prime when he faced Canelo. By then, he wasn't as fast, sharp, or explosive as the version that ruled the lighter divisions. Even so, Floyd relied on his experience and flawless timing to outclass Canelo. Jeff pointed out that this key detail often gets ignored when people compare Crawford's win over Canelo to Floyd's performance. In his view, context matters. Floyd was on the decline while Crawford is still in his prime, making direct comparisons tricky.
Well, if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
man that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
How you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime? You ain't in your prime when you at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose? I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, for sure, and that's why Canelo is saying what he's saying.
But I mean,
to make himself look like he did something great.
Stephen A. Smith shared his thoughts on Crawford's win over Canelo, describing it as one of the most thrilling showings in recent years. He applauded how Crawford, despite being viewed as the smaller and less powerful fighter, managed to completely dominate a much bigger opponent. For Stephen A., the fight highlighted not just Crawford's technical brilliance, but also his ability to put on a show for the audience. He emphasized that boxing needs athletes like Crawford who combine elite skill with entertainment value, making every fight memorable.
50,482 people showed up for this fight. But the biggest props of the night goes to Terence Crawford, who did not disappoint. He was supposed to be the smaller man. He was supposed to be the weaker man. He was supposed to be the man that was going to spend the entire night on his bicycle, running for his damn life because Saul Canelo Alvarez was coming his way. That is not what happened. What happened instead, ladies and gentlemen, was a masterclass in boxing by Terence Crawford. Now, to me, the fight, some people were saying it was severely lopsided and stuff like that. I'm not going for that. I'm not feeling that at all. It wasn't like that at all, okay? I had the fight 5-4 in favor of Terence Crawford after 9 rounds. It could have gone either way. And then he basically put on a boxing clinic over the last 3 rounds of the fight. And one rounds 10, 11, and 12. He used his jab. He kept his distance. He exchanged when necessary, which is something that I was scared to death of him doing. But he wasn't scared at all. Okay?
Another boxing analyst noted that while Floyd Mayweather enjoys a much larger global following thanks to his undefeated record and pay-per-view dominance, Terence Crawford might edge him in raw talent. As a natural southpaw who can fluidly switch stances, Crawford brings an unpredictable style that's hard for opponents to figure out. His sharp timing, precision, and composure give him the ability to dictate fights in a way that echoes Mayweather, yet still carries a distinct flair that's entirely his own.
Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Who wins this fight? I'm going with Terence Crawford, and I don't think that's unpopular or crazy to say. I think most people will agree with me. I understand Floyd Mayweather has a lot of fans out there, but the truth is, as great as Floyd Mayweather is, Terence Crawford is one of one. And I say that because who else has knockout power in both hands, is able to switch stances between orthodox and southpaw so seamlessly while having great footwork? It's not like Terence Crawford is some stationary target or a flat-footed fighter that's going to be chasing Floyd around. Terence Crawford knows how to cut the ring off. He has tremendous ring IQ. And not only is he a great boxer, but he's a great fighter. He'll be able to make it dirty. If he is on the inside with Floyd, that power will carry him far. And I just don't see how Floyd will be able to beat a Terence Crawford. I really don't see it. I understand Floyd's defense is incredible, but he is smaller than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford would have a significant reach advantage on Floyd Mayweather. I believe Terence Crawford would also be taller than Floyd Mayweather, as well as all the skillful and technical aspects of what I just laid out prior. So I don't understand how anybody could pick Floyd Mayweather to beat Terence Crawford. Styles make fights, and I believe Terence has the style to beat one Floyd Mayweather. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. Join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Many voices in the boxing community remain doubtful about the non-stop comparisons between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford. They believe Mayweather's era of dominance was unique and unlikely to be matched, no matter how far Crawford goes. Mayweather's defensive genius, elite ring intelligence, and ability to control fights with surgical precision are seen as traits no one has fully replicated. By contrast, some critics argue Crawford's rise is fueled more by fan excitement than by a fair likeness to Floyd. They note that Mayweather built his legacy on airtight defense and calculated business moves, while Crawford relies on stance switching, aggression, and a willingness to take risks. To these observers, comparing the two ignores their contrasting styles and career paths, making the discussion feel more like hype than reality.
You guys say it with me. Terence Crawford isn't Mayweather. I need you guys to sit here, grab somebody close to you, hold their hand, sit down, say it with me. Terence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. They're just both black. That's the only similarities they have. They both black. Terence Crawford loves being hit. The guy likes to scrap. He likes to brawl. Terence Crawford isn't even an Alexander Usyk. This guy loves being hit. He gets a thrill out of it. He sticks his tongue at his opponents when he is hit. Look at that. He enjoys that stuff. He tends to fight with low hands at times. He tends to exchange and brawl in the pocket, plant and fire, despite him having really great feet. Sometimes he likes to sit there and fire. If you have Terence Crawford beating Canelo, that's fine. I get you. But don't bring up Floyd Mayweather. No similarities. Floyd was way quicker, way sharper, better defensively, better reflexes, better timing, better IQ, better damn near everything. So say it with me one more time before we go. Terence Crawford, we said it, is not Floyd Mayweather. There we go.
One milestone that truly distinguishes Terence Crawford is his unprecedented achievement of becoming the first fighter to claim undisputed championships in 3 separate weight divisions. This rare accomplishment highlights not just his versatility, but also his ability to maintain elite performance across different weight classes. Unlike Mayweather, who never fully unified the titles at welterweight or super welterweight, Crawford has gathered all the major belts multiple times. This remarkable feat cements his legacy as unique and sets him apart from Mayweather's path.
Bud Crawford defeats Canelo Alvarez and becomes the first ever male 3-division undisputed champion in boxing history. Thank God the judges got this one right. But wow, what a technical battle this was. It was a very close fight, but as it went on, Terence was getting more and more comfortable in there. I remember in the 7th round, he even stood right in front of Canelo and fought him on the inside. Then in rounds 9 through 12, Crawford really started to open up on his flurries, gaining Canelo's respect. But the reason Crawford won this fight was because he was surprisingly durable at 168. He was able to do his thing because for the 36 minutes he was in there with Canelo, he was never really worried about what was coming back at him. I mean, Canelo just kept going to Terence's right side of his body, and that stung a couple times, but those were the really only hard shots Canelo landed. Unfortunately, this is terrible for Canelo's legacy because the smaller man beat him up, and Canelo's kind of been cherry-picking his opponents the last couple years. But well-deserved for Terence Crawford. It's gonna look amazing on his legacy. Boxing got it right tonight. On the biggest stage, with the most eyeballs, no controversy, just pure sport. And one of the best ever at the sport got it done tonight, Terence Bud Crawford.
After defeating Canelo, Crawford revealed just how much dedication went into preparing for that matchup. He explained that his entire camp was centered on building strength and conditioning his body to handle the jump to 168 pounds. Crawford emphasized that the win wasn't about luck. It was the result of meticulous planning, disciplined training, and confidence in his preparation. His reflection makes it clear that he treats every fight as a meaningful step in his legacy, showing that this era truly belongs to him.
Everybody was saying, the people that ran with that narrative convinced me that that was a narrative because I don't know the world as much. The thought of not having to lose weight is probably a happier, how was camp? Good camp.
It was great. You know, it wasn't a camp that we was focused on weight, you know, so we could just focus on my craft and focus on, you know, getting stronger, which we was already strong, you know, but, you know, we don't know what we up against. So, you know, we definitely want to make sure our body is prepared for whatever onslaught Canelo brings. So of course, you know, we gonna, you know, cross our I's and dot our T's, and you know, that's what we did in training.
You looked unbelievable. You looked absolutely unbelievable. Not that you ever don't, but it's just like, God, this guy looks like he is very prepared. And then as the fight continued, it felt that way. Turkey Al Sheikh deemed you the fighter of the century. And obviously Ring Magazine and TKO come together to put this incredible event together. What has it been like, you know, with the modern world of boxing now? That Riyadh season has gotten involved, and obviously Dana and Nick Khan of the WWE, and it feels like anything is possible in the boxing world now. Is that the big takeaway that we should think after you and Canelo fight and have the success, or how do you kind of view it all?
Yeah, for sure. You know, anything is definitely possible. You know, when a lot of people kept saying that what I was trying to accomplish.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates coming soon.